Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bronze Films, where I discuss movies and shows and my thoughts on them. Today the topic of the day is, what is the best Spider-Man movie? This includes live action and animated movies. Although there are 9 different movies, I think it's easier and faster if I only talk about 2 of the best movies out there. Of course I'm talking about Spider-Man 2 and Into the SpiderVerse, which are considered to be 2 of the best Spider-Man movies to date. Before I dive into which movie is considered the best Spider-Man movie in my opinion, I think it's important to consider 2 factors that really make a Spider-Man movie perfect. The Spider-Man and Who's Under the Mask, and of course the story of the movie. First, let's discuss Spider-Man 2 and its version of Peter Parker. In this movie, we see Peter Parker go through immense struggles and really questions himself if he should be Spider-Man. He carries the death of Norman Osborn on his back, and witnesses how it affects his best friend Harry Osborn. He witnesses Aunt May's sadness because of Uncle Ben's death, which is originally Peter's fault. He sees the company he works with, the Daily Bugle, slander Spider-Man and what he stands for. And finally, he is not able to be with the girl of his dreams, and has to accept the fact she is now engaged to J. Jonah Jameson's son. Through his many struggles, we see him question if he should remain as Spider-Man, as it is ruining his real life. His Peter Parker is relatable. The audience can relate to his struggles. He's a human being. Spider-Man is just great in this film, from his amazing suit, to his quips, to his overall personality. He has great humor and stops at nothing to help his loved ones, as we see with Mary Jane and Aunt May. This version of Peter Parker is very different than any other version of Peter Parker we have seen in other films. He's relatable. The film really focuses on him as a human being. He isn't just the perfect man with the girl, with the house, with the perfect family. He struggles, and that's what makes him relatable. Throughout the film, we see Peter Parker question his reality as Spider-Man. It affects his mental health and who he really is. Next, I will discuss the story of Spider-Man 2 and why it is considered to be one of the best Spider-Man stories out there. Something that makes the story of Spider-Man 2 amazing is the amount of conflict and how it engages the audience. Although Dr. Octopus becomes a villain, it is more complex than that. The audience sympathizes with him. He loses his wife and his life's work on his machine. Dr. Octopus is made to be the villain of the story, but the audience can still sympathize with him. The story is engaging for the audience. We sympathize for the villain, we root for the hero, and we care for each of the characters. The film focuses on Harry Osborn and how the death of his father affects him, and how he is slowly becoming a villain. James Franco gives an amazing performance that really has you sympathizing for him and caring for him. The film also focuses on Mary Jane and how she is now engaged to J. Jonah Jameson's son. The side of the story really has a toll on Peter Parker that adds to his complex character and adds to the great story. Unlike any other Spider-Man movie, something that makes this film great is it's not setting up any other movie, it doesn't have any unnecessary cameos, it's just a Spider-Man film. Spider-Man 2 will always be considered as one of the best Spider-Man movies to date. It has an amazing story, engaging characters, and it shows a side of Peter Parker that no other film has shown. We relate to Peter Parker, we care for Peter Parker, and that's what makes this film amazing. Now I will move on to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and why some consider it to be the best Spider-Man movie there is. First, let's discuss Who's Under the Mask, and how his Spider-Man is different than any other Spider-Man we've seen before. Miles Morales becomes Spider-Man after his Peter Parker is murdered by the Kingpin. In this movie, Miles is joined by many other Spider people that help him grow to the Spider-Man we know and love today. Although there are many Spider people with abilities, the film does not take away from Miles being the main character and having his own struggles. He struggles to control his powers, and how to properly use them. He loses his Uncle Aaron to the Kingpin, and he also has many problems with his father about his passions. He struggles to really show to his parents who he is and what his passions are. He purposely fails school exams to get kicked out, to just focus on himself and his passions. He shares an amazing chemistry with his uncle that adds to his complex character. His complex character intrigues the audience. Although he does control his power at the end of the film, his Spider-Man is short-lived, with only a short amount of screen time as his own Spider-Man. With his little screen time as Spider-Man, we see unique powers that are different than any other Spider-Man. His Miles is great, as he struggles to build onto his own Spider-Man throughout the film. Miles Morales in this film is different, which makes his character amazing. From his suit to her personality, he truly becomes a favorite Spider-Man to all. Now the story of Into the Spider-Verse will be discussed. Like Spider-Man 2, the audience can sympathize for the villain. Kingpin only wants to have his family back after his image was destroyed while fighting Spider-Man. His wife and son were killed in a car accident because of him. Miles, alongside the other Spider people, create a unique story with visuals that hook the audience. The film's unique animation style adds on to Miles' storytelling and drives a complex character, from simply changing his frame rate throughout the movie to using a unique comic book style storytelling. The film really gives a lesson to the audience, from accepting to be yourself to accepting that help is necessary and it helps you grow. The Spider-Man film is very different from any version we've seen before, has unique visual storytelling and characters that immediately hook the audience. Now I will make the final verdict of which Spider-Man movie is better in my opinion. Although Into the Spider-Verse has amazing characters and an amazing story that really has you feeling like Spider-Man, I am going to have to say that Spider-Man 2 is better, and here's why. To me, what breaks Into the Spider-Verse from being the best Spider-Man movie is Miles not given enough time to shine as his own Spider-Man. Although we get to see him grow, my only critique is he does not get enough time to be his own Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2 is the better film, as Tobey is the only Spider-Man that goes through real-life struggles. His character is relatable, something that breaks his character from any other movie. His villain is also amazing in the way we can sympathize for him. Again, his story focuses greatly on Peter Parker, that just makes a great film. Remember, this is just my opinion, and it's fine if you disagree. Another reason for me why Spider-Man 2 is the better Spider-Man film is the relatability we can have with Peter Parker. To not getting the girl of your dreams, to not having that perfect house, to not having that perfect family. This is all something we can feel at some point in our lives. Peter Parker is a human being in this film, and that's something we don't see in the side of Spider-Man anymore. Although I love the new Spider-Man trilogy, I think something that where it faults is it's connected to the greater universe. It has great amount of cameos that, although are great, takes away from the personal story of Spider-Man that we want. I think the ending of No Way Home was perfect. To him starting his new journey, I think that his new trilogy might be able to top Spider-Man 2, and I'm excited to see where they go with it. I think that the ending of No Way Home is perfect for a new Spider-Man. He's alone, he's broken, he has no one. Although in Spider-Man 2 he is alone for most of the part, he does have Aunt May, he has a broken relationship with Harry Osborn, and has a dying relationship with Mary Jane. This Spider-Man has nothing. He has lost MJ, Aunt May, his best friend, his relationship with Stark. He has nothing. And I think it's a really perfect start to the new Spider-Man, and I think it can be the best Spider-Man to date, but only time will tell. Thank you for tuning into my video essay, and I hope you enjoyed what you were listening to. Again, if you don't agree with my opinion, that's okay. We all have different opinions, and they're all going to be different. I just think for me, Spider-Man 2 is the better film, and that is going to vary for everybody. But thank you, and I really appreciate the time you took to listen to me, and I hope you tune into other videos. Thanks.